Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Content Junkies, your home for all things content creation. I'm your host, Austin Alvarez. Robert couldn't be in today, but he's with us in spirit as always. But today we actually have a very special guest who I actually just recently met, and it's been a crazy week journey after meeting this individual and the services that they put me onto and their expertise that we're going to share here on the show. But I have Dawn here from LinkMe, which is a link in bio service. So you may have heard of other services that offer the same thing, but LinkMe, I would say is pretty revolutionary.
Yeah.
You set one up for Bizarre Junkies, and it's been cool. I've loved being able to post that in my bios, and even just looking at it, and even tracking analytics.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Which I think is different than other link in bio services because other ones that I've had didn't offer that. And you also have your own app as well that you can track all this, and it also kind of serves as like a social media platform.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So. Before we really dive into it, let's hear a little bit about you and your history in the content space and kind of how you got to where you are now.
Cool. Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on. Sticky Paws, this whole studio experience at the facility has been phenomenal. I love the brand. I love what you're doing. I also like the topic of this show, so I definitely want to dive in. In the content world, where I got my start was I walked into an office park building one day in Boca, saw the Valuetainment logo, went in there 4 or 5 times to try to get a job because I knew who Pat was, because I followed him on YouTube, and he'd been a big inspiration to me in business and kind of in life and discipline. And I got a job with him, and we were, I guess, just about to cross 3 million. I think we were at like 2.5 million subs at the time. Now they're well past 5, 5.5, wherever they're at now. And I got to see Valuetainment as a media operation at 20 people, grow to 50, grow to 100, and then where it's currently at today is fluctuating at about 100 to 150 operators. And being on the inside and seeing the growth, now even from the outside, I can see, what changes are being made, what sort of positions did Pat try to prioritize to grow the channel and grow the network, which now it's truly a network. He's been doing a lot of really cool stuff with politicians and getting his brand out there and networking himself at very high political events. He's been going to the CNN town halls, and a long time ago he stated that the focus of what it was going to be, this was in 2022, he painted the vision long term. He said 2024 political season is going to be the biggest year of Valuetainment yet, and we're pushing to get ready for that season. So seeing a lot of different changes. I was in sales and consulting for Pat. Initially wanted 3 guys, then that scaled to about 10, 15 people. When I exited the company, I wanted to kind of do my own stuff. And then I left the organization, started my own company in content consulting, picked up a camera, started filming people, and then that led to getting linked up with LinkMe. And now I'm dealing with a ton of different digital creators, which is where I love to be, dealing with creatives and trying to help them monetize their brand and make more money. Decentralization of finance and media go kind of hand in hand.
Yeah.
So if you're able to really empower other people to not have to work with a big network like Fox and then a big network like Valuetainment's going to be, and you can empower them to have their own studio or their own operation and make money, that's what I think is pretty fascinating.
So, I mean, you saw Valuetainment almost from the ground up. I mean,
Yeah.
What is it like walking into somewhere like here where we are a small staff
Yeah.
on the cusp of, I would say video podcasting is something that is still kind of new.
Yes.
Podcasting's been around for a while, but video podcasting, I would say in the last 2 to 3 years has blown up.
Yeah.
But we've been here almost 3 years now, and we're still pioneering the industry. I mean, so are you seeing correlations between us and Valuetainment in that sense?
Yes. Just different approaches to creating content.
Right.
So like for Pat, his vision long-term was to go into politics. So he wanted more of a news network. And along the way, he started off in business, which was his niche. And then he shifted to big interviews, which then he became a real Walter Cronkite of our area, or of our era, interviewing people like Alex Jones, when he had his most controversial moment with Megyn Kelly and all of that with that interview. And then he interviewed, he's always focused on interviewing controversial figures, which gave him a very cool slant. And then that led into when he grew the media organization, to really focus on live studio productions, like more of a talk show. And he's grown it from a room exactly like this with a table exactly like this and about 4 guests that would talk about different topics, and people would tune in to see him, Adam, Gerard, and Tom, and sometimes Phil Heath talk about different topics, to then it shifted to more PBD podcast where it was him interviewing a political person or a famous celebrity. So the content changed over time to his purpose. And I do see this being in line with what Valuetainment did, but it's a different business model because this is a studio where you produce multiple shows. It makes it really cool. Yeah. And then you can get pieces of those multiple shows by encouraging them to grow their brands. And that's what I like about, what's going on with Sean Kelly and some of these other shows that are out there. It's individuals. It's not 50 to 100 people with a, massive multimillionaire funding the operation that most people can't do. It's individuals that are monetizing their digital brands and making money that way through, if it's a referral system with including links to a product in the description and bio, but where it really, a lot of people forget this is entertainment. Yeah. So your show needs to be very entertaining and have a different angle, a blue ocean angle, if you will. So that's
blue ocean. Does that just mean like wide open, like kind of like blue sky, where it's kind of just whatever you can think of, really?
Yeah, that was the reason why I say blue ocean in particular. Is there's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy. Patrick mandated that we read a different book every month that was in either personal development or business. So we read a lot of different books. We read.
That's cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah. That's a cool thing that he had you do, because maybe less. I understand why he wanted those 2 genres, but even if you just sort of like, I just want all my employees to be reading, that's cool because it preaches literature. Yep. It preaches being able to comprehend things, literacy, and then also you're growing those. At least for you guys, you were growing those skill sets in those specific things, which ultimately benefits the studio, benefits the company.
If I had never learned about Blue Ocean Strategy because Pat had never mandated that we read the book, I wouldn't have carried that on into my consulting strategies and in my life, because I just like the concept a lot. The basic concept is you create blue ocean conditions for your business by going outside of red, bloody waters that are people in your industry, in an oversaturated industry. Everybody's fighting over the same market share, and you shift and give yourself a completely different market share that can be yours. And that's where the niching process comes into a show, or the naming and the branding, like Content Junkies, can be a different topic and a different genre in its own, just by picking the name appropriately.
Right.
And then having the certain guests and hosts that you have on, like Bizarre Junkies being another show in your ecosystem. That's a very novel, blue ocean product where you have something that people listen to because it's like, oh, I want to listen to the craziest thing that happened today.
Right.
I'm not going to watch 3 hours of Joe Rogan. I'm just going to come here and, listen to some really niched topics about crazy things.
Yeah, instead of listening to an entire Joe Rogan, but to be fair, there's value in that. He's the biggest podcaster. Yes. Where it does feel like just a conversation. You're just hanging out, which is kind of the point of podcasting. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to make you feel like you're involved in the conversation. But so how important to you, especially with LinkMe, is content creation for branding, for business? Where do you stand on all of that? Obviously, I feel like we have a similar approach there, but in terms of LinkMe, what is your value of importance on content creation?
So LinkMe is a portfolio. You can think of it as a portfolio that you can link in bio and share through QR code scan with other people. And you can share your contact information and your entire portfolio very quickly with somebody. So the content fills the portfolio. That's the way that you really, with any brand, the reason why people do so much content, like Hormozy does so much and Pat does, is it makes them more well-established. When they share their website or they share their YouTube channel with somebody, you see, wow, this guy's done 1,000 episodes with all these different interesting people. And that's where both quality and quantity of content establishes you as a reputable brand. So doing as many different types of content. And what LinkMe does is it shows your YouTube, it shows your LinkedIn, it shows your Facebook. And we all know these platforms behave very differently in the content world. Like TikTok is, for a relatively degenerate crowd under a certain age, where you post one thing and, if it's got a little bit of degeneracy in it in the US, it blows up, versus something that's more, like sophisticated. Whereas YouTube is a sharing of an intimate conversation in podcasts, whereas Instagram is like basically you're flashing. Like Instagram is your flex mechanism, where you show how great your content is and you in front of a Lambo. I mean, these, like, a lot of people have used that to grow their brands. So
Chase, do I need a Bazaar Junkies Lambo?
I think that a Bazaar Junkies Lambo is a pretty solid idea. I've heard from sources that if you get a very luxury car, that it does help your business.
yeah.
I think I was there for that when you heard that. Yes.
Is it mostly Lambos, or is it mostly Bugattis that are utilized for that?
I think it's pick your poison.
It's pick your poison, as long as it's not a Corvette.
Or like SBF, he used Corolla.
Okay.
So that was a little
that.
that was a
that's
different
like the
slant.
ultimate flex. It's like, yeah, you may have lots of money, but I have wealth.
I have wealth and I own a Corolla and I'm stealing from everyone.
Yeah, I mean,
but don't look here. Yeah, exactly.
Crypto is up though, Chase.
Crypto's up.
Especially.
crypto is up.
The
right
market's
now.
going up, baby.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm feeling good.
I was wondering why the last week I see my buddy posting all this stuff on his like massive yacht and just having a great time, and then I remembered that he invested in Bitcoin very early, so he's having a very good time because of the current hike.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's loving life.
It's like Bitcoin has 2x in the past. Like, this is not a crypto show. Have at it. Do your thing.
But yeah, it's
we'll start Crypto Junkies next week.
Yeah.
So going back into LinkMe, obviously there are, and we won't name them, but there are other link in bio services. I know there's at least two off the top of my head that I've used or looked at before.
yeah.
I can give my take as to why this feels different, but why, as somebody from the inside, what are you guys striving for to really set yourself apart from other link in bio services?
Yeah, so coming from, I also did a bunch of work with Tom Ellsworth, who's the biz doc at Valuetainment. And Tom and Alex Hormozy, they both talk about what makes companies different. But I had a very, very, close relationship with Tom at one point, and he actually gave us little like orientations and speeches in our meetings. And I had a couple clients with him, so he taught me a lot about private equity and venture capital world. He actually was in the same room with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates. So the fact that he was at the one summit where it was surprised that either Bill Gates or Steve Jobs was also appearing with the other, and it was like the only time that it ever happened that they were on the same stage, answering panel questions, and he was in the room. And so Tom's a very smart guy. What he taught me was it's not the first person in the space, it's the last person in the space. So if you think back to, search engines, Google is the last one, but Yahoo was first. And some of these other search engines were first as well. So there have been some platforms that have come out prior to us that are just URL. So now going into my consulting mode and really I've dove really deep into LinkMe as a product because I find product development so fascinating. And I find it to be one of the best products that I could ever use for networking, because I'm a networking and business guy. So I needed an app like this. And when I first saw it, I was like, holy cow, I could have used this at Valuetainment for all sorts of things like lead attribution and networking and link in bio. I could have had my whole portfolio. And what's cool is other platforms are just URLs. This is an app-based product. So it's on your phone. It's also an ecosystem for posting. Our ecosystem is Shouting. So it gives you another platform to get more visibility on. And then when somebody shares it with you, it pops right up in the phone. It just looks so sleek and so amazing. And when I had met the team, Pat had it in his link in bio. And I know how hard it is to convince Pat to do anything because I've been in on his team. And so I knew that it had a lot of, usability. And so you can even, you can see anybody who has one of the other platforms, the second they see what a LinkMe looks like, they convert. Yeah. And we even had a big reggaeton artist, Arcangel, who apparently one Latino guy came to one of our team and said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that you got Arcangel on the platform. He's huge in reggaeton." And we said we didn't even ask him. His team
just saw it and went to
his team saw it. Somebody had it. Maybe it was a girl in his network or whatever. And they immediately downloaded and started inputting into the platform. So there's just so much more usability with it. The QR code scannability, that's a great tactic that other platforms don't have. Like, you're either doing just like share, but you don't have a QR code, or your URL and it has its limitations, whereas we're an app. So for the QR code, I like to use this in my content strategies because I like to empower entrepreneurs like yourself to, let's say, merge it with public speaking. Because I saw Pat do the Vault Conference public speaking. I saw Andy Elliott do his monthly event, and that's where they bring in a ton of revenue, is live speaking and public speaking. So you can take the QR code with your podcasting brand, come up with something that you're going to share public speaking wise, put it up on the screen behind you, and convert and get people to buy your product directly on your portal after they just scan the QR code. And then you also have lead capturing. So when they share their information with you, or they get your information, they can share their info back. So even for, like, let's say a large reggaeton artist or house music, we're looking at getting into more of the house music industry for these big DJs. If they put their QR code up on the LED screen behind them, they can get shareability of, let's say, 100,000 fans in the crowd that will share back their information. So there's so many applications to the app.
So I'm just curious. So let's say I'm a big DJ. I have this QR code behind me for business's sake, because a lot of what we do is we're trying to convince businesses why they need content on this show. And so let's say I have that QR code behind me. Now, does it automatically, as long as they are okay filling out the form, I automatically just capture all of that information? So it's good for like lead generation, like you said.
It's great for lead generation. It's second to none for lead generation. I had one of my clients that I was consulting through a platform called Monect, which is Pat's consulting platform. And I had a client one day, I made him a LinkMe profile. This is when I first started with the company. We got it done. I had Val put it together, the chief operations officer. We delivered it to him. And within that day, he made $5,000 because he put the QR code up in his prezo that he knew he was giving, but he didn't have any way to do a funnel. And, like, let's say even if he did a QR code and it went to his website, and his website is a ClickFunnels account, right? Still, there's a lot of places to get kind of lost and not really know where to go in that process. Whereas this is a QR code straight to a button that is a Stripe account, and they can fill out the info. So he had like 100 signups at his current rate of, $50 I think it was at the time, which was great money for him. He was really happy with that.
Yeah, no, that sounds phenomenal. So going more to the B2B side.
Yeah.
Let's say a pizza shop wants to have a LinkMe. They can then put their QR code up. And I'm trying to think of like ways that they can incentivize. Because, like, if you're at a restaurant and you don't have like a reward system, or maybe that is how you implement your reward system, is through LinkMe.
Yeah.
Maybe you just put that up. But now it's also, you have an email list.
Yep.
Now you can send out when you're doing more things, like, oh, hey, we have a new product coming out.
Yep.
Let's send that out. So it's a way for a link in bio to list all of your stuff. It's a portfolio. It is a lead generator.
Yep.
And it is a basically a data capturer. And that sounds so bad. That sounds like I'm like Edward Snowden up in here. Like, they're capturing your data, but you're going to give it to them anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, especially like an artist, like if you want to keep in touch with that artist and you want to hear what they have coming out new, you can use LinkMe as a QR code to capture.
It's a voluntary share that is a very minimal ask. And in sales and in marketing, I've been there where it's a big ask, and it's kind of hard to get to the conversation when you meet somebody at a networking event. Because I did a lot of sales and consulting through Pat at the Vault Conference, and I'd be trying to eventually close them on an item.
Right.
But if I had a list of products that was right in my LinkMe and gone up to a person and network with them, told them I was on Pat's team. It works really well for entrepreneurs and their teams. We have the Elliott Group. All the guys are on the platform because now they can scan, get the information, have it back in their CRM, because we also have CRM integrations. But now you can also show your whole portfolio and who you are and what your relationship is with Andy and how close you are with them and your content that you're rolling out. So it really empowers not only entrepreneurs, but also their people on their teams. So if you have like a production facility, or let's say you have a large company, you run a large sales force that's out and doing door-to-door sales. We have a new product coming out in a couple of weeks that I'm really excited about called LinkMe for Business. LinkMe for Business is going to be the parent account where you can log into a separate app where you can see all of your reps and how many people they're connecting with.
Wow.
So let's say you have 100 door-to-door guys, like a lot of these guys have out there that are doing door-to-door, even with Andy's team, for instance, but they go and they network at an event. You have lead attribution. You can see who met who at a timestamp. So there's no, hey, I met this guy first or whatever. But,
yeah, you can just go back to the numbers.
But you can keep track of who's doing better on your team and who's actually putting in the sales work when they're networking and meeting people at events. For promotions, we have people in the promoting world, like nightlife companies, that are using it for their girls that are on the streets. Because last year I worked spring break in Fort Lauderdale. It was nuts. I left Valuetainment. I was in the middle of trying to figure out where I was going to go. So I got a job with a guy I've known forever, his nightlife company. And I had 20 promoter girls that were hitting the street. But the biggest problem was I didn't know which girl was actually giving out the most bands or was just throwing it out, or I wouldn't know. So this way you can keep track and hold those girls accountable and say, hey, listen, Susie networked and got 100 shares. She was obviously talking to more people, whereas you had 5. So what were you doing? Were you eating a cheeseburger all day? Like, just tell me, we can work it out, but like, what's going on?
Right.
So for promoters and companies with a lot of guys out there that are meeting people in person, scan the QR code, shareability, you're able to track that with LinkMe for Business. And there were a lot of times where we would fight over leads. So lead attribution is very important. We would fight over major leads at our events at Valuetainment, some of the reps, because I talked to him yesterday, but you pitched the product today, and there's no way for me in the system to prove that I spoke to him yesterday. Whereas with this, if I get his information, it's not in a blank, it's not contact share, none of that stuff is traceable. But this way, I scan, I get his information first, I can prove that I talked to him before you did.
Gotcha.
So we don't have an internal fight on the team, and it breaks everything up.
Wonderful. So as we get ready to wrap up here, how much is LinkMe for anybody interested?
Yeah. So it's free to use. The platform's free to use. We're going for mass market adoption and users. We're very well-funded company, so we're not worried about, making money up front. And then our new revenue streams are going to be LinkMe Consulting, which is what I'm running, which is an ecosystem of creatives, LinkMe Consulting and LinkMe Creatives, that's going to help people grow their brands. And really, you can get on it. I can get you involved with LinkMe Creatives. So any leads that we get into LinkMe that need creative help, which all of them do because they're all trying to do content. Right. It's part of the reason why they're on the platform. Get you involved with LinkMe Creatives. You can fulfill for that person. Gotcha, get them in, get them content. So we'll be a lead source for different creatives. And that's what I'm building with that consultation platform. I had some experience in the consulting world with Pat, but I have a bigger vision as far as what creatives can really do for people and how they can build brands. Because I've been in the business myself too, trying to put together all the link and like all the different social media platforms. It becomes unsustainable past a certain point. You only have so much bandwidth. So this is a way for somebody to get on board with us, see the list of people that are our creative network, and pay a retainer fee of, let's say, anywhere from $3,500 to $10,000, and they get access to so many people a month to work with and grow their brand and do digital consulting. And we'll be a lead source for you. And then secondarily, with LinkMe for Business, that's going to be another revenue generator. That's going to be, I'm not 100% sure about what it's going to cost. I believe it's anywhere from $250 up to, if you have a lot of users, you've got like 1,000 reps or whatever, it's going to be up higher. It's going to be $1,500.
Now, is this per month or per year?
Per month.
Okay.
So, but this service is going to be massively used. I think we're going to take over major market shares once we get this product done. It's going to take a couple more weeks for us to tweak everything out. We're going to run a beta with all of our people, so I'll get you on the beta test to check it out. But as far as what it's going to do for business owners, I think it's really going to empower people to know what their reps are doing and really grow their business. So I'm excited.
That's phenomenal. So I guess my little testimony. So I've been using LinkMe about a week now.
Yeah. What's been your experience with the platform?
It's nice. It's nice to see that. One is the analytics tracking. I can track and see who is looking at who. Like I can see how many times. Like I'll pull it up right now. This is for Bizarre Junkies. So I'll pull up the analytics through the app. In the last 7 days, I've had 92 profile views, and I think I have it on every platform now. So I think I have it on the main two, which is Instagram and TikTok. Mm-hmm. I have 92 profile views, 1 link click, 97 new followers, and 19 web app visits. And then Chase, I know it's not really going to be easily viewable, but there's a map right here, and it breaks down where people are clicking your link from. Yeah, which is super cool. The other link in bio services, I couldn't even get an analytic of are people actually clicking on this.
We're just a much more sophisticated platform,
but it doesn't feel that much more sophisticated though. That's what I'm trying to get at. It was. I mean, granted, I'll have to go through it manually because you did help me out a little bit with it with Bazaar. But even still, it's probably not much more different than other link in bio services where it's what links do you want to be in there? What is your name or brand?
Yeah.
And then it compiles it. And you can even go through and edit it through there, which I did a little bit. And I got to use that. And it's seamless.
And we'll custom make a profile for you. And I need to get yours verified, by the way. So I'm going to go to the team and make sure that you're verified on the platform. But if I could get a shot here, a zoom in shot. So these are some of the people that we have on the platform. I have it as my screen share so I can easily share it with people. But we have PBD on the platform. We have Andy Elliott. We have Bradley. These are all major, content producers and creators in our space. I was personally responsible for Andy. They had Pat prior to that. But all of these individuals are using it currently in their link in bio. And then we also have Jorge Masvidal on the app. We have Sean Strickland on the application. So we have some major celebrities utilizing it as well. And slowly we're going to go to every industry. We're going to go after UFC. And that's where the LinkMe community is really going to be. So anybody that's involved with LinkMe Creatives or our consulting firm that's paying that retainer from Valuetainment, I learned that a lot of people come for the community. So they pay the Vault conference, so they pay this, they pay that just to be involved with the organization. So we'll be rolling out events, different things that we can bring, and link people together. We're getting ready to launch a collaborative event with Tabler, which is another application that's out there for nightlife. So we're gonna be doing some different community events and collaboration events. And if you ever want to do something down in the Miami area or something on Vegas, we could talk about empowering you with a QR code at the event. You're sharing revenue. We're all about, the number one company motto is win-win solutions. And that's what I really care about, is creating a win-win, opportunity for everybody involved.
So Don, last thing. So going back to the whole content aspect, we always do a call to action at the end of the show. For somebody getting out, starting with content, I mean, you have picked up a camera, you've made content. Yeah. What would you say to somebody right now who's thinking about maybe wanting to make content or, is kind of starting their content journey, but maybe they need a little bit of a push or maybe some advice? What would you tell to somebody just as an actionable that they can do today?
Pick a blue ocean brand, pick a topic that you can really talk about, that you actually know, and be open to feedback from other people and their not criticism, but supportive critique of what they think you should be doing with your content, and seek out producers. This is the number one thing. Seek out a content professional that can help, like Content Junkies, because that will save you so much time. The number one mistake I see people make is they don't seek help. I think that's in everything. I think that's like with addiction, with everything. They don't seek help. So if you're in a spot where you want to get in this industry, it's not easy. It's a very tough industry. It takes a long time to break in. But if you can work with other producers, like my Instagram's @DonTheProducer, and you can work with other producers like, at Content Junkies, at a studio, find a local studio, they can really help you get the ball rolling so you're not sitting there trying to figure out what you're going to do. It's like an acting coach. You want to go into acting, you get an acting coach. You want to produce content, you get a production coach. That's essentially what you need. So
that's probably one of the best actionables we've had. Our actionables are always like, start recording, write down your ideas now, start doing stuff like that.
I've thought a lot about this,
Yeah, no, that's tremendous. So I want to say thank you again so much for coming on the show and sharing more about LinkMe, because I do actually, you haven't paid me anything. This isn't like a sponsored show. It's just I love the product. It's really nice, and I think I give it a year, and it's probably going to be the number one link in bio service, hands down.
Our number one thing that we want to do is we want to create a movement where it becomes a shareable term. Hey, what's your link me? Or let's link me. We want to make it a iconic brand, and that's why they brought me on to do not only consulting previously in the YouTube industry, working with Pat, not only do the consulting branch, but also now, director of business development. I'm out here on the streets building relationships, and that's what podcasting helps you do. That's what content helps you do. It really helps you foster business opportunities for you and your business. And that's what you really need, a producer to help you start getting together. So I just want people to win. It's all about win-wins. I haven't asked you for anything. All I want you to do is, share the product and share the application, and we could work out win-wins long-term. I've got no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you again, Don. Yeah. Where can the people find you if they want to get in touch with you or want to learn more about LinkMe?
Sure. So what you can do is you can download the application, LinkMe on the App Store, and then seek me out, Don Cappy. What's cool is on Instagram, I can't get Don Cappy because somebody has it. But if you have a tag or something that you've wanted to be known by in your social media, you can get it on LinkMe because it's a newer application. So on LinkMe, I'm at Don Cappy, and on Instagram, I'm at Don the Producer _. So if you want to check me out on either of those platforms, you can see kind of my portfolio, the people I've worked with, and also check out the application as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much to everybody watching. Remember, get out there, start cutting content today. And until next time, see you then.